Greetings, everyone. My name is Damon Von Caskey of the University of Kentucky. I welcome you to my messy office and to my home. I would like to introduce a research proposal I have prepared entitled Cognitive Bias and Digital Inequity. Now, I've less than 5 minutes here, and I tend to talk fast anyway. This is going to be off the cuff other than some talking points, so please bear with me. Now, we're going to jump right into one of those talking points, and that is to explain the concept of cognitive divide. Now, if I were, for example, to ask you to come outside with me and help me work on my motorcycle and or my truck, if you were not someone who was versed in tools, you might say, hey, I cannot do that, to which I would say to you, well, you have tools in your hand, so now you can. Now, if that logic doesn't follow, there's a good reason for that. I didn't impart you with the ability to use these things, I just stuck them in your hand, right? How would you know that this guy here is metric, this guy here is customary, and that in fact most vehicles use an eclectic mix of both? If you don't have that knowledge, you certainly wouldn't know how to use the tools properly. And if I tried to teach you how to cross that cognitive divide, you might have a confirmation bias and an attitudinal barrier where you've been taught all of your life that tools are dirty, that tools are for lesser intellectuals, that tools are dangerous, and so is working on internal combustion engines or even electrical vehicles, in which case you're not very likely to want to learn, correct? There is your attitudinal barrier. So it goes with electronic devices. If I were to place this phone in someone's hand, does that mean they know how to use it? And I'm not even talking about the technical aspects of using the phone itself. I mean, does that mean you have the information awareness? Can you pull information from this device onto this device from out there and understand what is good and what is bad? Can you avoid malfactors, spammers, and just accidental misinformation? Probably not without the proper education, correct? If you want to produce content, can you do it? I mean, aside from the handicap of doing it on a consumptive device, most likely not. You might be saying to yourself, hey, Damon, you're not doing a very good job either. Well, then obviously I would need the education, right? But if you've been taught all your life that electronics are silly, that anything to do with the information superhighway is just frivolous crap that millennials and Gen Z fool with, you have an attitudinal barrier against that. We're not going to be likely to teach you. Some of those attitudinal barriers might be political, and that is what we want to target with this research. We are going to send out a Likert survey to the area that I grew up in, northeastern Kentucky, specifically Kentucky Emergency Management Area 7. It encompasses 12 counties in an isolated region that outside of Morehead State University experiences a magic set of 40s. 40% poverty rate, 40% digital divide rate, 40% digital inequity, and even among people that are connected, 40% total reliance on consumptive devices as opposed to creative devices. Now, we would like to find out if political issues in this region are a contributing factor. Now, in addition to the statistics I just wrote, this is also an area of severe political strife. You may reference the Round County War, and you will find that at one point, not only did we progress beyond protests and the occasional murder and family feud, we went right up onto outright open warfare in the streets. So then that makes this a wonderful target area to find out if there is in fact a negative correlation of political antipathy and technological apathy, which we will attempt to discover with a Likert survey using composited scores. You will find in our literature review, in our methodologies, and our ethics that we have done all requisite due diligence. I encourage you to read the proposal in its entirety. I think you will find that it could be a potential boon, because if we discover that the hypothesis is correct and there is a correlation of political confirmation bias with cognitive divide, thus exacerbating digital inequity, then we could perform further research to create educational programs that correctly target and break down those attitudinal barriers, rather than just walking up to people and saying you're wrong and not getting anywhere. Again, I encourage you to review the research proposal, review all the details therein. I think you will find it is exactly as it needs to be, and if not, of course, I am more than happy to hear a counter proposal. Thank you for listening, everyone. Have a good evening.